I had the opportunity to work with a lot of different types of companies, either personally or through AGI Ventures. And there are patterns in how companies operate. The most successful companies that we worked with usually have an AI champion or multiple AI champions. And this is how you identify them. They're usually babbling about whatever AI tool that they found over the weekend. Maybe they built a small project and they dropped that into the team channel or Slack channel and asking people to try it out. The reason why it's important for the company to find these people is because it's 2025 and it's the question of like whether to build or buy an AI product. It's even more difficult because just a year ago, it probably makes more sense to buy an AI product. Let's say somebody approached a company to sell an AI SDR, or an AI HR, or whatever, or a legal AI tool. You probably don't have the capability to build that. So you kind of have to morph your workflow to fit that product. And again, the models weren't that great last year. But now, the cost of building software is quite low. And if you can identify the AI champion in your team or your company, that person is willing to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to deliver something crazy, because it's usually those people that will get you to try these things. It's not the rest of your team. They will be the one who drive the innovation, the change within your team. And it will help you make decisions on whether to buy or to build easier. And sometimes, a lot of the times, the answer is to build, actually, if you can identify the right person in the team. So the second thing I want to talk about is a list of things to replace. This is a little bit more morbid in this job market. But if you are a business owner, or if you're a manager, if your company is trying to, weather the economic downturn, whatever, this is something that I learned from one of my consulting clients, which is that they have a job board internally that has all these job functions and all these responsibilities. And they challenge themselves within the team to automate each of them one at a time. Not to do it entirely, but to attempt to do that. I would want to challenge you to list all the roles that you think you have on your team or the responsibilities on the board, and then challenge your developers or your PMs or designers to try to automate them, not the whole thing, but like one task at a time. See if you can do that. And this client that we work with has been very successful doing that, because not only that they get to automate that job, but it puts them in this position where they have to think about how to do it. And it keeps them on their toes every single week to keep an eye out for new tools, new things to try, and it's very effective. And the last thing I want to share with the executives in the room is that, believe it or not, but the cost of building software is very, very cheap now. You can ship crazy good software with really high value with only a small team or an individual. And there's something else out there that's more important than knowing how to ship software now. And I will actually talk about that in the next slide, which is mostly for the younglings. But for you guys, as the executives, you got to identify the champions in the room and things that you want to automate or attempt to automate. And that's how you can kind of navigate this challenging environment of things changing every 2 weeks, models coming out every 2 weeks and stuff like that. Okay, so now I want to address the young people in the room. So you might be in high school, I would imagine. Is that true? They're in high school right now? Okay, great. We don't know yet if this is going to be a great time to be graduating from high school and college and going into the workforce. But I can tell you what we're looking for from the perspective of a kind of intense startup founder, kind of who are we looking for? So, like I said before, the cost of building software is extremely low now. It's extremely easy to pick up a tool and learn it. So what is important? You gotta learn how to tell stories. The reason why AGI Ventures or AI Tinkers gotten this far is because we have been able to tell the story of this grassroots movement and being able to get sponsorship and build things. And not only that, so that's essentially learning how to sell. But not only that, but you want to tell stories so you can convince yourselves to build something. Because I didn't start AI Tinkers looking at market trends or TAM, total addressable market, anything like that. I didn't look at metrics. I just had a story that I told myself, which is, wouldn't it be great if I find another person like myself? There would be so much to talk about. That's why the title of the slide at the beginning is that we didn't know this was going to be important. Like, we didn't set out to change the tech scene in Ottawa or anything like that. The story that we told ourselves was, we wanted to find people like ourselves, and we don't want to feel like we're weird, in the city. So if you're thinking about building something, first you got to tell yourself a story that, hey, this is actually important, at least to me or somebody that I care about. And then from there, hopefully you can motivate yourself to try more things. There's no way to go out there and look at the data and be like, justify doing something, because there's never enough data. It's always, you get about 60% there, and you have to convince yourself that this is important to do. And then you do it, and you'll know. The second thing is high agency. Has anyone seen this word before, or have heard of what this is? Okay, great. So I'm going to explain what high agency means. Actually, let me give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to interview Lee Robinson, who's the head of AI education at this company called Cursor, for a podcast. So Lee is a big name in the industry. So I told my friend Josh, I don't know if you guys remember, but there's this guy named Josh over there, it's on the left side. And I told him that, hey, I got this great cast, we're gonna do great, and we're gonna be famous. And then he asked me, is it gonna be online? And I said, yeah, of course. He lives in Iowa. I live in Ottawa. I'm not gonna, that makes sense to send him a Zoom link, right? And then Josh, having his YC education, then asked me, it sounds like a big guess and a big opportunity. Why don't you fly out to Iowa and interview him in person? And I froze up, and I'm like, okay, so I know where you're getting at. I know if I go out there, our relationship with Lee Robinson will be much stronger. He might introduce me to more people. There might be more opportunities to come up. But I'm traveling right now, and I'm tired. I just want to go back to Ottawa, do this Zoom thing from my bed, It's gonna be easy. I was looking forward to it. But now you put this thought in my head, and now I'm agitated. So that's when I felt this kind of fear, because I know the right thing to do now is to go to Iowa, but I really don't want to go. So what a high agency person would do is they would look at an opportunity like that and say, how much further can I take it? So I looked up some flights. Thank you. I looked up some flights to Iowa, and the more I looked into it, the more I didn't want to go. If it was New York City or something, it would have been more interesting. But I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, so this is how much it'll cost. This is a bit expensive because it's last minute. But if I just go, I'll put myself out there. I'll be a little bit naive. I'll take a chance. And then I emailed Lee Rob, and I was like, hey, I know we agreed to do it virtually, but what if I fly out to Iowa? And then thank God he said no. He's like, no, I don't have time to do it. Let's just do it virtually. But I think the moral of the story is that if you were to say yes, I would have gone, and we probably would have had more opportunities that come out of that. We did have opportunities that came from interviewing him virtually, but the lesson is that if something like that's going to come up in the future, I would have to take it further, because now I have that thought in my head, and if I were to not do it, I would be lying to myself. So the last thing I want to talk about is taste. I say I want to heard of the term AI slop. Okay, great. The reason why we have AI slop is because a lot of the times off-the-shelf models are trained on the same kind of data, and they don't have opinions about things. But you guys in the room, especially you guys, I don't know about you guys yet, actually, because you're still young, but if you've seen enough things in life, and every time you see something or you experience something or do something, you form an opinion about that, then over time you know what good looks like. And AI models are not opinionated about a lot of things. That's why we get literally the same design when we generate a website using AI. It's this purple gradient with like what we call AI slop. So this came from the conversation that I had with Lee Robinson that I talked about earlier, which is that it's interesting to us that we both get inspiration for building software from pop culture. Lee is a big fan of Tame Impala, so he would like watch movies, he would listen to music, and then he would get inspirations from that. And let me explain to you what that means. Anybody here is a fan of like matcha? Like, do people drink matcha in this room? Okay, cool. So when you drink matcha, it's different from coffee in the sense that it doesn't agitate you. It gives you energy, but it's kind of mellow. So I can be drinking matcha, and I can be like, I want my software to feel like that. Not necessarily that it has to be green, but it should make the user feel not stressed and mellow and all that. And that's what we call user experience design, right, in software development. So that's what I mean when I say you get inspirations from little things in life. So pay attention to what you like and don't like in life, from people, from art, from music, TV shows, movies, Wes Anderson films, whatever you're into. Appreciate the beauty in like art, especially. So those are the three things that if I were in high school, I would be paying very close attention to. And as you see, I did not list a single tool on this slide because you don't want to grow up to be a tool user. You want to grow up to be a high agency storyteller with good taste. That's what you want to be. I didn't even prepare that line, by the way. I just came together from the slides. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my talk tonight. And thank you guys for listening.